Dixon Tattrie joining us here today as Dixon, one of our co-athletes of the week on Bulls. And Dixon, you've been having a really good season so far. I'm surprised you haven't been an athlete of the week yet already because of the season you've been having. A couple rodeo wins for you. This week it came not in Bulls though. It came over in Saddle Bronc Riding, an event you've been trying to get better in. And how's that kind of process been going?
It's been slow, honestly, but it's been all finally coming together. You know, Saddle Bronc is one of the events that takes the most amount of time to learn. They say it takes almost 150 horses before you can even start to try and spur one, and I definitely feel that. And I come down here, and I was starting to ride bronc horses good, but it was really over the winter that it started to click and everything started to work together instead of just having one part of my ride work and then the next part was no good. So it just really started to click this winter, and I've really been able to show it at these spring rodeos.
When you talk about that, again, we talked about Seth Klaus and your coach with Griffin, but talk a little bit about the experience that he can bring, because he was also a world-class saddle bronc rider. Did that help encourage you to come here because you could learn from him?
It definitely did. You know, when Seth is the guy when Seth has been in both events that I want to do, it makes it so much easier because I got a coach that knows exactly what I'm trying to do, and he's built kind of similar to me, real tall guy. Rode a real long saddle, and so it really helps when I've got a guy that's same build as me, knows exactly what I need to try and do to make it work.
We were talking with Griffin a little bit about focusing on one event growing up and kind of staying focused on that one. What made you interested which did you start first, I guess? Did you start Broncs first or did you start Bulls first?
So I started riding Bulls first. I got on maybe 30 Bulls and then I broke my arm. So then I took a summer off, and then by the time the fall rolled around, I was kind of bored of going to high school rodeos and just getting on bulls. So I was like, well, heck, I got to try doing one more event. And I just picked Saddle Bronc, and I went to a school, and from then on, I was kind of like, well, let's be a bronc rider and a bull rider.
Well, it's given you some advantage, too, in the Central Rocky Mountain region, because now you can qualify for the all-around side of things. And you've actually put your name into third place in the all-around after this last week. How does that excite you when you see it's not your number one event, but all of a sudden it's putting you into position to where you could take both events to Casper?
Yeah, I actually didn't even know about the all-around, like how it worked in the slightest. And then I was just reading the article that got put up the other day, and it said that the top two guys in the all-around get to automatically go in two events. And I was like, well, heck, that ain't a half bad deal for a guy like me, especially because we got a tough region in the bronc riding with having Casper, and there's about 4 other Canadians I know that go to school there that all ride broncs really darn good. So it's kind of hard to sneak in that spot right now. There's 3 of us all fighting for that third place spot right now, and all 3 of us could just as easily beat one another to go to Casper. So if I can even move myself into second in the all-around, it's almost an easier way to get to the college finals than crawling the third spot in the bronc riding.
Well, and we were mentioning it, you and Griffin sitting up there at the top of the bull riding. You still got to focus on bull riding, obviously. It's not one that you can go in and not be focused on for any bull, but has that given you time to maybe put a bit more emphasis on the saddle bronc riding here in these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I've been able to really try and win the saddle bronc. I mean, I still try and go and win the bull riding too. It's not like I'm there and just all lackadaisical about getting on bucking bulls too, but it is kind of nice that I was sitting in such a good spot that I'm not in a panic to try and get in the top 3 in both events. I can show up, ride bulls, have fun with it. I'm not thinking, oh man, I'm not in the top 3. I really got to go right now. Whereas in the bronc riding, I just show up and do my business and go about it. And I was so far out of it coming into the spring that I didn't really think I could put myself into contention for a spot. And I've been able to climb up as far as 5th from 14th. So it's kind of interesting to see that I've been able to get as far ahead as I was.
Where do you see this career taking you? We asked the same thing to Griffin, but is this something that you see yourself trying to go pro in, or is this something that you want to be more as just an activity that you can enjoy?
This is something I definitely want to do for at least the next 10 years of my life. I mean, with rodeo, you only have so long until your body's done and you can't do it anymore. So I think almost if I can rodeo real hard for the next 10 years of my life and get almost through this phase of wanting to be such a rodeo cowboy that in 10 years I can start doing new things with my life. But as of right now, I just want this to be my career, essentially.
You mentioned the fact that Coach Glaus has a very similar build to you, and that was one of the reasons you came here. Is there anything else that drew you to Laramie County and drew you to wanting to rodeo here?
I met with Stephen Tenney to talk to him and kind of come down and see the place, and I just liked the school, and it wasn't that it was terribly cheap, but I was able to get a good scholarship from Coach Glaus, and that really helped me because I'm not the richest man on planet Earth, and that was something I really had to think about. So scholarship-wise, it worked out great for me, and then I think Seth was the biggest reason why I wanted to come down here was the two events and the same events that I do, and he's got a really solid way that he works and way that he can teach us what we need to learn.
Talk too about the process of looking at the academic side of things, because as a student athlete, you do have to focus on that side quite a bit to make sure you stay eligible and have the chances to go. And you guys even a little bit longer, because if you're not eligible end of the school year, then you're toast as far as even going to Casper. But what are some of the things you're trying to do academically, and how's the academics been going for you?
It's been going good for me so far. I like to think I'm a smart person and can really do well in school. And the first semester I just had some kind of basic courses, just math, English, and strategies, which were real easy, helped me get a real good GPA going into the fall, which helps me kind of keep it up this spring when I have a little bit tougher courses to do. But it's been good so far. I've been able to keep my GPA up and really not even have to worry about whether or not I'm going to be ineligible to rodeo.
We'll wrap it up with kind of two more questions, one on the athletic side, one on the academic side. How do you balance that? That's got to be something from high school where it doesn't necessarily affect, especially in rodeo, it doesn't affect where you can go, to go into college where it does have a big impact. How do you balance the time in the arena, the time going out and doing other rodeos, and the time in the classroom?
I'm honestly terrible at time management. I can't do it to save my life, but I just try and put school first, because when they say you're a student athlete, student always comes first. You have to be a student before you can be a student athlete. So it's just kind of making sure I get all my schoolwork done before I try and go do something at the arena or wherever I want to go. I just try and make sure I get all my schoolwork done and stay on top of it, because the better you can stay on top of it, the easier it is to go on rodeo without having to go, oh shoot, I never finished that homework assignment, and just makes life easier.
Talk about these final two rodeos and then the big gap that comes. I mean, basically, I don't want to jinx anything, but bull riding is pretty much locked up for both you and Griffin as far as being able to head up to Casper with the way things are going. We got a 190-point lead between you guys in third place, not to mention where fourth place is at. But when you look at the break in between, how have you been talking to people about how to kind of manage that break and get yourself ready for Casper when you do have 2 months in between?
Yeah, it's kind of just important that I stay in shape and keep getting on. I got a drop barrel at home I can get on, so keep getting on my drop barrel once I go home and spurboard for the Saddle Bronc. And also just go rodeo too, because going to actually rodeo helps you a little bit more than just always just going to a practice pen, because going to rodeos there's a little bit more of that pressure and that wanting to do good, and it kind of helps you. If you go to there instead of just always a practice pen, by the time we get to Casper, we're going to have that want to do good feeling once we get down there.
Well, Casper should be a fun time, as both of these two athletes are going to be looking at their Griffin and Dixon right here are going to be looking to head Casper in the bull riding. And beyond that, a lot of suspense there leading into these final couple weeks. Dixon, congratulations on being a co-athlete of the week, and good luck as you get ready for Casper in the next couple weeks.
Thank you.